This video is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a certified or uncertified electrician or HVAC technician. If you choose to repeat any of the steps in this video, you do so at your own risk. Enjoy. This is the lost art of common sense. Hello, I'm Josh with the Lost Art of Common Sense. This is normally a podcast channel where me and my buddy just talk about current events and kind of put our blue collar take on it. But I figured I wanted to make this video because I recently added a heater to my garage and figured out how to use a smart thermostat with it and still retain all the original intended functions of the heater instead of what I have found on the internet. So when you look these up, most of the time what you're going to find is you're going to have a transformer hooked to a contactor, and your transformer goes to your thermostat. The thermostat calls for heat, which triggers a contactor to close, which sends power to your heater, and then you have your internal heater's thermostat set all the way up, which in theory it does work. It does turn the heater on, it will heat it up, and then it will turn off when the garage hits the intended temperature. Problem is, when the thermostat stops calling for heat, it just breaks the contactor, which no longer supplies power to the heater. These electric heaters, I would say 99% of them have a delayed fan action that keeps the fan running after the heating element is turned off to expel any excess heat in there. I'm assuming that's for longevity. You probably don't want a bunch of heat just statically sitting there in the heater and slowly dissipating on its own. So I didn't necessarily like that setup, and I started looking around to see what I could do to change it, and looked at a bunch of different videos, and I came up on ones that had like put a relay here and a fan delay switch in here and that and this. And well, I'm not an electrician, so that got all super confusing for me. And I'd already bought all the stuff to do the transformer contactor. So while messing around and looking at the heater, I found that my heater that I'm using only has a 2-wire thermostat. I think a lot of the newer ones have 4. Since I don't have that one, I'm not really sure how that works. But with my 2-wire thermostat, I figured out a way to use a smart thermostat or any thermostat and still retain the factory intended functions of the heater. So we'll just go through the diagram, show you how I did it. I tried to make this as easy as possible so that someone like me could understand it. So here we go. You have your panel. I ran 240 4-wire, or I guess it's 12-3, over to a junction box I added that I had already had for my first setup. And what I ended up doing is I ended up hardwiring the, like down here, you can see it, the power supply goes straight to the heater. So the heater always has power. And then I hooked the transformer up the same way. So you have like the white wire to one side, and then you have your green wire and red wire tied together that goes down to the thermostat. And then your blue wire that comes up from the thermostat, you tie that in with your red, put on the other contactor. And this is a lot clearer in other videos. So as far as getting the contactor to work for the transformer is probably a little bit easier on some other videos to understand. But the difference I did is, instead of running the power through the contactor, I ended up taking the wires off where the thermostat connected to this board and connected new wires to it and ran those into that junction box and added those to either side of the contactor. So now the heater always has power, and when the thermostat calls for power, it closes the contactor, which makes the heater basically think that its internal thermostat told it to kick on. Kicks on, runs heat. When the thermostat gets to its intended temperature, it no longer calls for heat, breaks a contact, which would be like the thermostat deactivating in the internal heater's thermostat. And then so the heating elements turn off, but the fan keeps running for the intended amount of time to expel all the heat. So SO facto, it seems like it works perfectly. I did it in the summer because it's always better to install your heaters in the summer than in the winter when you need them. And we'll see. But all my function tests, and I'll put up a video here of how it actually works and how it's supposed to work. So that's kind of how I did it. You can, I tried to make it as easy as possible with this diagram. Like with the transmitters, I bought a 5-wire, but I used a red, blue, and white wire to run into the transformer. The white wire that comes in just goes straight to one side of the contactor. The blue wire gets tied in with the red coming off the transformer. That goes the other side. And then the red wire gets tied in with the green coming out of the transformer. As far as powering the transformer went, I know that there's people that are going to be. I just did one side of the 220. I know it makes an unbalanced circuit, but I didn't feel like running another breaker at that point. I might put a 15 amp breaker in just for the thermostat, but as of right now, I just have it tied in on one side of the 240 and it's working just fine. But like I said, I might change that, but apparently people frown on that. But that kind of, I mean, you can pause and I'll try to zoom in on some of this stuff as I'm talking about it, but and look at it. It may or may not help you if you were to try to do it. Like I said, this is just how I did it. It's not a tutorial, not telling you what to do or how to do it. I'm just saying this is how I did it. And so, and Mary may help some people out. So if you like the video, we don't do a lot of these or really any of these on this channel, but, be cool if you gave us a like, subscribe, and comment below if you have any questions on it. I'm sure there will be because, I had plenty of questions and had to do a lot of figuring out on my own when I did this. So feel free to comment below. And if you like the stuff, check out our merch shop in the description below. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps anybody out who's stuck. So until next time, I'm Josh with the Lost Art of Common Sense, and y'all have a great day.